I have already discussed the conversational void that exists around players who are the third best on their own team. Major media members and internet wanderers wisely choose to discuss the lead singers over the bass players in this respect. There is another unit of players that are stigmatized, a group that gets marginalized simply for their rarity amongst other possibly more nefarious reasons. Those players are the ones that arrive from other countries. These types of players were almost non-existent 30 years ago, but are now beginning to be more common as the NBA expands across the globe. Despite this rapid growth, analysts and blog boys still don't know how to properly diagnose and understand international players. Players usually belong to one of these categories. Very rarely does someone fall under both. However, I am here to shine a light on players like this, those who I believe are misunderstood, giving you a complete look at what a player truly is, what they do right, what they do wrong, and everything in between. This week, that player is Dario Saric.
In Philly, they call me the homie.
Saric knocked it away, goes diving. What a play to get it to Simmons. Brilliantly done by the homie.
Dario Saric was professionally scouted at about 15 years old. Him and the game of basketball have walked side by side for much of his life, and it shows in everything he does on the court. His passion and hustle vibrates with the type of enthusiasm that infects every person in or watching the game. He will dive on the floor, bounce off opposing players, and extend his breath tank to E, all while fist pumping and roaring with joy. This hustle inspires constant movement. There is rarely a moment he isn't moving off the ball, which is vastly important on a team that has two players that deserve the ball in their hands more than most others. This movement includes some incredible cuts to the hoop. He is cutting to the hoop about the same amount of times as Draymond Green, except with much less efficiency. Dario has some trouble finishing at the rim. He is much better at receiving the basketball off a cut and finishing at the hoop than he is when he has to dribble to the lane himself. When he does have to dribble to the lane himself, he often runs into trouble. That trouble includes being blocked, and being blocked a lot. He has finished only 23 driving layups this season, which is just 6 more than the amount of attempts he has had blocked this season on driving layups. 17. He is slowly learning how to use his larger frame to his advantage, but he still throws up funky shots inside the paint and does not go to his left hand very often. This is a consistent problem for Dario, who is not a very efficient scorer off the dribble. You will rarely see him put the ball in the hole after a few dribbles into a shot. His go-to is 2 or 3 dribbles into a 20-foot mid-range jumper, but he has converted very few of those shots. He is much better at distributing after deciding to dribble a few more times. He has the signature passing flair that comes with most foreign players and whips the ball around with both hands like he really enjoys moving the ball with speed. He can certainly be called upon to distribute more, but the Sixers simply do not need him to. When he does not have to dribble, he is a much better shooter. He is shooting nearly 40% from three-point range this season, shots that mostly come off catch and shoots. He has become a sniper from long range and has improved his shooting numbers drastically over the last 3 months. His relentless hustle also puts him in opportunistic positions to score. That same hustle translates over to defense, where he actively tries nearly every possession. He does, however, lack some explosion, so despite his effort, he still has a tendency to get beat. He is not a shot blocker or very good at getting deflections, but he is an extremely solid defender and will outwork the offense. And the defensive greatness that exists on his team allows him to appear even better than he is. Dario needs to improve his ability off the dribble and learn to utilize his size while masking his lack of explosion. But he has morphed into the exact player that the Sixers have needed. A player who at just 23 has plenty of growing to do. With him and the 2 future superstars, the Sixers' near juvenile Big Three should be fighting for championships very soon, for a very long time.
I love Dario Saric, just the whole thing. I just like everything about him, and I truly mean that.